Bronson, welcome to the show.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I'm grateful to be here. Been looking forward to this, actually. Yeah. There's been some planning in the process, but we got here. And check this out. The timing's perfect for it, hey?
Incredible.
Last day in Victoria and we're in the Crown Towers.
We made it.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Sending it off in style.
Exactly. Now, I want to cut straight to the cake. We met 2 years ago. We discussed that before. It's been a while, 2 years. And in that discussion we had on the Men Over Matter retreat, you were talking to me about this incredible story of facing adversity and also overcoming hardship, and so many of the things you've learned of how to become a man throughout that. Can you talk to me about that story? From what I believe, incarcerated 6 years, made some not so smart decisions throughout that time. But I now see you wearing Prime shirt, which is your brotherhood and your movement for men's mental health, and a very different man from what I would expect to have seen those 6+ years ago. Can you talk us through what happened?
Yes. As I said, I'm an open book about it, and it definitely helps me improve, and sharing the story helps other men improve as well, whether it's inspiring them to do better or just showing them that even in the tough times, you can still get up, you can still get back up and be a better man, be a better person. So, yeah, it was 2020, June, 10th of June, 2020, when my world and my family's world come crashing down. And it all happened because of reckless decisions that I made in the months before that. And yeah, at the end of the day, I made some really bad decisions out of pure just desperation. I had a crack at running my own startup business, which was a passion project because it was providing healthy snacks and healthy food and drinks to the general public as a convenience in vending machines. And that came about because, I was working on union sites in the city, and I was catching the train out of the city, and being a healthy, fit and active footy player at the time, playing country footy, I was constantly looking for ways that I could be healthier, stronger, and just more agile on the footy field. And I knew that nutrition was a big part of it. And yeah, the idea came. I was at the train station and all I could see was junk food vending machines. And I was in need of something, just a snack after a big day's work. And the idea came: healthy vending machines, protein bars, whole food bars, healthy snacks, whatever you could get in there to provide for people like me. So I had a crack at that with a couple of mates, and it was going well. Like, it was a great concept and people were sort of gravitating towards it. And at the end of the day, it just didn't work out financially. I tried to run it for a few years, and the financial hole just getting deeper and deeper. And I was just, I suppose, a bit stubborn and so determined to make it work. And I suppose I blocked out all the negative stuff. And I was like, no, this is going to work. Just keep pushing. At some point, I'll be able to tip it over and make it work. But at the end of the day, it didn't work financially. So went through bankruptcy from that, which was the first major challenge in that experience. And that journey was like seeing it go under and then being put through bankruptcy. And that itself, like, it's very harsh, like not only from the financial perspective, but like mentally. And then of course, when your mental health is down, your physical health usually comes behind that. So, I was was going out partying a bit more, trying to, like mask the pain. I was drinking more. I was taking recreational drugs. I was like pretty reckless. And through that, I met some pretty colourful people, colourful characters, and it was like the perfect storm, or the worst storm, where I was going through this bankruptcy thing, and I'm like, how do I get back up financially? Like, how do I get through this? And then this opportunity presented itself, and the people that I was around was like sort of high-end clientele. When if you're looking at the drug trafficking market, you've got people that will take things like cocaine, and it's an expensive drug. So usually they're wealthy people, business people, sports people like AFL footballers, lawyers, judges. It's crazy, that world. And that was the scene that I was around at the time. And yeah, I suppose the opportunity presented itself to be the guy that was able to get it for these people. And I had a contact, and it was just one of those things. It was just like a snowball effect. And it just naturally evolved. And it wasn't like I was out there looking for it. I wasn't like, oh, do you know anyone that can get this? And I want to like get out of this financial struggle that I'm in. It just sort of like happened. But
at that time, did it seem like a blessing?
Yeah, at the time, because I was going through that bankruptcy, and I was like just grabbing at anything that could help me out of that. And of course, I like made it out to be like I was fine, I'm doing well. No one really knew what was happening behind the scenes. I kept it really quiet. So my family and friends just thought, oh, he's bounced back from that challenge with the business, and he's back on his feet. And I just put on this massive facade, and I got really good at telling lies. Essentially, they were just lies, because I didn't want people to know how much I'd failed. I didn't want people to know the challenges I was going through. And then now these days I think back to that, I'm like, because I was never taught how to communicate those challenges. And I'm not saying that my grandparents and parents raised me wrong. It was just that they weren't taught those things. They weren't taught how to express their emotions. They weren't taught how to communicate the challenges. They were just taught, work hard, get on with it. Don't talk about the challenges. Just get on with it, pretty much, So I didn't have those skills to communicate to anyone that I was going through some challenges. So I just hid it. I didn't want people to know. I was ashamed of it. And, this thing just kept growing, and the cash started flowing in, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I've never had this before. I grew up on a dairy farm, and it was always challenging, and finances were always tight, and it was always a financial struggle growing up. So when I was introduced to this world of like abundance of cash, essentially, it definitely wasn't abundance of health or, fulfillment. It was just purely financial gain. And that's exactly what I needed at that time. Or that's what I was looking for at that time. And I didn't even know it. So, of course, I allowed it in. Subconsciously, I allowed it in. I didn't even think of the consequences at the time.
Yeah.
No one was telling me, oh, you really shouldn't do this because this could happen. Because the people that I was around, they were constantly asking me for it. They were constantly, some people were constantly selling it to me. So, of course, it was in their best interest that I got more from them. So they were the mentors that I had in that space.
Yeah, that was your circle.
Yeah, that was the circle. And, we can talk about who you surround yourself with. You essentially become those people or those the lifestyle that those people are living, you essentially will become that, or your lifestyle will become that.
Yeah.
And I've been through that, and it is true. It is so true. So yeah, it grew, and I tried to hide it. I tried to fly under the radar, and really didn't want to think about the consequences. I didn't want to know about it. And then on the 10th of June, 2020, everything come crashing down. The door got busted in. You know, the drug squad come in, surrounded the house, pinned me to the ground. You know, guns drawn. And to this day, I'm like, why would they come in with guns drawn when I was never a violent person? I never had any prior charges or criminal history. This was a first-time offence for me, and the only thing I could put it down to now that I think about it is that, well, I grew up on a dairy farm with guns. You know, we always had shotguns and rifles on the farm, and I still had them. I still had my gun license. I still had the guns at the farm, and I'm like, holy shit, they must think that I'm holding the guns at our house in
because they say guns registered to your
right?
name. Yeah.
So I'm freaking out because they come in with guns drawn. I'm like, everything just went quiet. It's like when you see a movie and the sound stops and you just hear this, like that ear-piercing sound going through your ears, and there's nothing, you can't hear anything else. You can't hear them yelling at you, get on the ground, you know, put your hands behind you. Couldn't hear any of that. It was like background noise. And it was just this ear-piercing noise. And yeah, next minute I know I'm in handcuffs. I'm taken into one of the rooms. My wife, Alice, was, you know, pushed to the back of the kitchen, and she was holding our 4-month-old boy, Xavier, at the time. Our little dog was going off. It was just mayhem. It was one of those moments where your world literally comes crashing down and you don't know what the hell is happening, what is going to happen, and then, of course, I'm thinking, what have I done? Like this, I've fucked up here. Like I've fucked up massively here. And in that moment, that's the slap in the face. That is the ultimate slap in the face when I realized that I'd fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing that unfold in front of me and seeing what Alice was going through, you know, of course she was shocked, like in disbelief, because I got so good at hiding all of that world that she had no idea. And of course I'm like, not wanting her to be, you know, brought into that world at all. You know, I was literally living 2 different lives. So it still brings up big emotions, obviously. And like I said before, it does help to talk about it and remind me of those mistakes, because obviously I'm not going to make those mistakes again in the future. But yeah, from that moment, you know, when they took me away, that was the last time I saw Alice and Xavier in person for the next 2.5 years, because it was right at the start of COVID.
Mm.
So it was in the second lockdown, I think. And of course, when they took me away, there was no visits. So I was taken to the MAP, which is where they process and like, all right, what's his offence? And they decide which prison you're going to go to. If it's a serious offence, they'll send you to the maximum. If it's a, you know, medium offence, they'll send you a different one. So you go through that process, and that was like so scary. I've never been in that situation before. Never been arrested, never been taken in to prison or anything like that. Never sat in a prison cell before. So I'm freaking out, like shitting myself, absolutely shit myself. And it was just the minutes just felt like hours. The hours felt like days. And I didn't know what the hell was happening, like what was going to happen. how long was I going to be in this prison cell for? And of course, no one tells you anything. And you can't have phone calls. You can't call your family and find out how they are. Like, how's Alice? Like, what's happening out there? Are they okay? Were they dragged in for questioning? Like, were they trying to charge Alice for, saying that she knew about it? Like, what was happening out there? I had no idea. So that fear of the unknown was at the peak. It was the all-time high. And then, of course, the days go on, the hours go on, the days go on, and you still don't get any answers. You get questioned, you get interviewed, you get put in a different cell, you get taken, you're transported to the sub, which is under the court, which is the worst place in the world. I don't wish that upon anyone.
Why is that?
It's like what you see on the movies. It's like cold steel or stainless steel benches, concrete walls, people in there that you don't want to look sideways at, and cold. It's cold. This little TV about this big in a box, so it couldn't get damaged, obviously. Just playing on repeat. It was just like the mainstream TV, the news, TV, mainstream daytime TV or nighttime TV. You don't even know what time it is. You don't even know if it's day or night. Like, you're underground, underneath the court. And you start going a bit crazy. Like, what time is it? What day is it? How long have I been here? Who are these people in? Like, what have they done? Is this guy like murdered someone? Am I in the same room with this guy that is psycho? Like, how many times has he been in and out? Is he a bloody veteran at this? Like, you just start questioning everything, and they'll hold you there. Mm-hmm. And it's literally to make you snap. It's literally to make you break and start banging on the door and say, "Let me out. I'll tell you everything. Let me out of here. I will tell you everything. I will, dob myself in. I'll dob other people in. I'll tell you all. I'll give you all the evidence." And that's the process that people go through, and it's mainly to make you snap. And I'm glad I didn't, because everything that you say, they'll use against you.
Yeah.
And I just stayed strong, and I think the resilience kicked in that point. The resilience that I learned and built on the farm growing up. And that's something I'm extremely grateful for, from my grandparents and my parents, is that they were just so resilient through the hard times on the farm, financially, physically, mentally, that we just learnt that from them naturally. And I never knew at that point, when I was growing up on the farm, I never knew that I would use that resilience in a prison cell.
Yeah.
You'd never tip that. Never imagine that. But it did. It came through, and got through that. Eventually got taken to Ravenhall, which is like a medium to maximum prison. Of course, it was the start of COVID, so they were quarantining everyone that was coming into the prison, just in case they were bringing in COVID. So it was straight into solitary confinement for 2 weeks. Worst 2 weeks of my life. Still hadn't had a phone call with family, still hadn't had a phone call with a lawyer, going crazy. In those first few days of being at Ravenhall, I had two options. It was lay in bed and watch the TV 24 hours a day, or get up, start a routine, do my push-ups, do my sit-ups, do my squats, burpees, really like use the health and fitness skills that I had, that I loved. It was a passion. It was something that I suppose got me through the hard times previously, like through the bankruptcy. I was always at the gym. After 3 hours sleep, I was still at the gym at 5 a.m. It was something that really got me through that bankruptcy period. So I was like, well, I need to use fitness to get me through this. I need to start doing breath work, because I knew that I hadn't done it before, I'd heard that it helped. So I started practicing with no experience at all. Meditation, I'd heard that meditation helped in, just regulating emotions. I was like, we've got to try this. This is the perfect opportunity to try this, because they've stripped everything off me. The clothes off my back. No phone, you don't get nothing. You get a little TV with daytime TV.
In your cell?
In the cell.
Yeah.
A shower, a toilet, and a bed.
You have a cellmate?
No, because it was quarantine. So we were literally solitary confinement on your own. And, you look out the little window in the door and you could see just a row of doors of other cells. And you could hear people, coming off. There's drug addicts that were taken in there. So they were coming off what they were addicted to, whatever drug it was. And the noises that were coming out of these people were horrifying. And I'm this healthy version. I'm not, going to the gym every day, and I'm healthy, and we were living a healthy lifestyle. And then to be confronted with that, I was shitting myself. I'm like, where the fuck am I? What is going on here? So I just tapped into that fitness and the healthy lifestyle practices, and it got me through those 2 weeks. Eventually got the phone call with family and the lawyer, and just broke down, just cried on the phone with Alice, begged my lawyer to get me the hell out of there. How long am I going to be here? You've got to get me out of here. And just begged, I was desperate. I was desperate to get home to see my family. And I was so remorseful of what I'd done from the very moment that they busted the door down. But it was even worse in that quarantine period. You just literally, like at night, I'd cry myself to sleep, because I was like, why did you get sucked into that world? How did you allow that to happen? And at that point, I start realizing that money, the financial stuff, it doesn't matter. The materialistic stuff that was all around that world, it doesn't mean anything if you lose your freedom.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what could be worse than this? Is this the bottom? Is this the very bottom of the barrel? Am I scraping the bottom of the barrel right now? And the only thing I could think of that would be worse would be losing your health. Being diagnosed with an illness that was going to kill you in a few months, or a family member, like a close family member, being diagnosed with something that was going to kill them within months. I was like, that is the only worst place to be other than here. And I still believe that to this day.
Yeah.
Losing a loved one tragically in a tragic accident or something like that, that is the worst of the worst. Losing your own life tragically is the worst of the worst. But the second worst thing is being in solitary confinement in prison. I still believe that to this day. But through that, I just tapped into that health and fitness lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, used it to get through it. Swore to myself, swore to my family that I was going to do everything that I could to become a better man. I started writing, I started journaling, I started writing letters to Alice every single week. Every single week I was away. And it was 12 months of just the unknown. It was 12 months of being on remand, which is like the period before you get sentenced. So the court, you go through the court hearings, your lawyer goes in to represent you. It gets adjourned. It's just like, it just
And are you at the court meetings?
Yeah. So I was either in court. So that was another traumatizing experience. Having to leave the prison, get shoved into, like, they come and wake you up at 4 a.m. So you hear the keys rattling in the door. That's another sound that is traumatizing, like sleeping in a prison cell, but then hearing the footsteps coming towards your door, and then the keys rattling to open the door, and the big clunk and the door opening you're thinking, where the fuck are they taking me right now? Even though you know that you've got a court hearing that day, and it's like, oh, they're just coming to get me to take me to court. You're just in this, like the cortisol and the fear that is flooding through your body is next level, because you don't know who's going to come to the door. Is that officer going to be one of those officers that's just an absolute animal and kick the shit out of you? There might be 3 or 4 of them that will come and just kick the shit out of you for no reason, just for the fun of it, because they treat you like you have committed the worst crime in the world, even though I didn't set out to hurt anyone. It was just purely like I got caught up in that world. I made the wrong decisions out of desperation. But you hear stories and you see, like I saw people getting the shit kicked out of them in their cells by some of the officers. And some officers were amazing. They were just really genuine people, and I was lucky. I didn't have any of those animal officers that would do that to me, or they didn't do it to me, but I saw it happen to other people. So, you get taken out of your cell at 4 a.m, you get taken into this cell, you've got to strip down naked, they've got to strip search you. That's like so degrading. And then you get these different clothes to put on, and you get taken into this bus with these little cubicles in the bus, and you get thrown in there with some at random, or 2 or 3 randoms. You don't know who these people are, what the crimes they've committed. You get taken to the court, you go down underneath the court again, you get thrown in another cell, and the process, like that day, is so stressful. And then you go up and you get sat in this box, and you get questioned, and you see whether your family were there, or, whoever, your lawyer and your family, and you get to see your family, but you can't touch them. You can't talk to them. It's like next level painful. And, you see your family crying, and you're crying, like, what the fuck is this? This isn't living. And then that drags on for a year. And then eventually, after 12 months, I got sentenced, and I'm grateful that I got the sentence I got, because at one point they were trying to pin commercial quantity on me, but I never had commercial quantity. I was always I was a small fish in a big pond, and they try to throw everything at you, but my lawyer managed to prove that I wasn't a big fish. I was just a small fish, like a tadpole in a big ocean. And thankfully, I didn't get the commercial trafficking. I got the lesser of that, but it was still 3 years in prison and 3 years on parole. So in total, it was a 6-year sentence. But I'm grateful I got 50-50, 50% in, 50% out. Whereas some people have to serve sometimes up to 80% of the sentence inside.
Yeah.
And they only get 20% out on parole. So, I apologised every chance I got. I proved that I was doing the right things over those 12 months in prison.
Yeah.
To better myself.
Focusing on your fitness and
focusing on my fitness. I was going to the education hub. I was doing all the courses. I was journaling, reading, writing letters, writing, apology letter. I wrote an apology letter to the judge and explained my whole story, the whole journey of like how I got to that point, because I needed to tell my story. How did I get to that point? I didn't just like one day wake up and go, oh, I'm going to traffic cocaine. It evolved, from desperation. So I think that all helped. And then, yeah, it was still a shock. It was still a massive shock. And to come to terms with spending, it had been 12 months, so I still had another 2 years to spend the next 2 years in prison before I had access to coming out on parole. And I'm like, shit, we're in the middle of COVID. Out here is lockdown. They're like my family and friends are literally in their own prison out here, and public were in their own prison out here, and I was in my prison in there. So I'm thinking, when are they going to allow in-person visits? And they didn't. For nearly the whole time that I was in there, the 3 years,
Wow.
they didn't allow in-person visits. It was just a 30-minute video call once a fortnight, pretty sure. And we just had to manage with that. And then eventually they opened up in-person visits, but they forced you to have the vaccines to do that. And, you know, we can go into that at another time, but myself and Alice, being really health focused and holistically healthy, we didn't want to go down that path of getting the vaccines. So we have 6 months to go. They've just reopened the visits, but we have to get the vaccines. Do we do it or do we hold out? And we said, you know, we've done 2.5 years of this. What's another 6 months? I'd rather know that our bodies are clean without these vaccines and just stick it out. We'll keep doing the video visits. But, you know, through that whole experience and that whole journey, my family and a few close friends were so solid. Like, they knew that I wasn't a bad person. They knew that I made some mistakes out of desperation, and they stuck by me. So supportive. You know, Alice held shit together out here when it all hit the fan. She stuck by me. As I said, I committed to expressing my emotions and feelings and thoughts in a letter every single week. And sometimes the letter was 10 pages long. Like, I had the time to sit there and reflect and write. And before that, I didn't write letters. I barely read any books at school. Like, I hated school. I hated sitting in a classroom doing all that stuff. But I think that time in prison just gave me the opportunity to tap into all that. I read so many books and I wrote so many letters and journaled and did so many courses and even started a university degree in health and fitness. And I think it was an opportunity to really just get into that personal growth. Because, yeah, there's two ways you can go in there. You can become the unhealthiest, worst version of yourself. And whether that's just sitting there watching TV all day, eating shit food, taking drugs in there, getting involved with politics, fights, ending up in the slot, just, you know, that's solitary confinement. And I saw so many guys doing that. And I looked at that and I was like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
So I figured out.
Was it pretty easy to avoid those people?
Not really. If you can imagine, you're in a perimeter of like, I don't know, 400 square meters, like a couple of, maybe 3 footy ovals. So imagine 3 footy ovals put together. That is the area that I had access to for 2.5 years. And of course, you've got different yards and it's all separated and there's fences and walls and stuff like that. But you're going to bump into those people on a daily basis. Even walking from my cell to the education hub or to the gym, you're going to come across them.
Yeah.
You can't avoid it. But I gravitated towards the men that were at the education hub and that were at the gym. And I looked around and I was like, right, who do I need to surround myself here? Who do I need to surround myself with here? Because I learnt the hard way out here that the people I surrounded myself in that world didn't do very well for me.
Yeah. And it's the common quote of the sum of the 5 people you hang around are who you are. They represent your values.
Yeah.
And I believe in that extremely. I also got told yesterday, I was having an amazing conversation and she mentioned that even having one rotten apple in a bunch of apples rots all the apples. So that's like keeping one friend around. Like, you build this beautiful friendship group and you're still building it, but you keep this one guy around. and then that rotten apple, not saying they're a bad person, but they're obviously not doing the same things that are aligned, eventually rots all the other apples, corrupts everybody else.
Yeah.
Obviously, some of the apples will leave. Good on them. They'll go and find a new bunch of apples that aren't rotten. But I found it very interesting that mold your circle so precisely to really not have any rotten apples, even if it's a small circle.
Yeah.
So you found some other men who were also doing the work, maybe putting in their physical health or in the education hub.
Yeah. Yeah. And they were a minority, like the majority of the men in there, and I'm talking 800 men in the prison. I ended up at Fulham Correctional Centre, which is out near Sale, South Gippsland, out that way, which I'm grateful for that I ended up at that one. I didn't get to choose, but it was out in the middle of a farm. Like, it was surrounded by paddocks and cows, and I just felt like I was in my natural environment there, obviously growing up on a dairy farm, but I could see through the fences and I could see cows in the paddock, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of better than Ravenhall, which was closer to the city, where it was concrete walls and you just see concrete walls with barbed wire on top. So out there, 800 odd men, and majority of them were involved in the politics or were very unhealthy, and they were just literally killing themselves slowly. Some were killing each other, and to see that and to be surrounded by that was obviously extremely toxic and scary, because I'd never been in that environment before. So I gravitated towards the men that were doing the work, and it was a small group, and I trained with them. One of them became my mentor in there. He'd already been in there for 24 years.
Wow.
And that alone, seeing him at the education hub and seeing him at the gym, and he was training groups. I was like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And we still stay in contact now. It's been...
Is he still in prison? Or?
Yeah, he's still in prison. I think he's going to be going home soon, which he'll be deported to New Zealand, because originally he was from New Zealand. But we still stay in contact, and I'm grateful for that connection and that friendship, because he'd written a book which he hadn't published. Obviously, you can't publish a book from in prison, but he'd written the book and he had a rough copy, and he allowed me to read it. And whether that was to give him feedback on it so he could improve it, I don't know. But he, we connected well, we bonded well, and he could see that I was searching for that mentorship, and he just thrived off that. He thrived off helping others improve. And from his story, he wasn't like that when he came in. He was involved in the politics. He was involved in the fights. He was in the slot for 6 months at a time. So he'd been through that. He got extremely overweight, nearly to the point where he was obese. And when I came in, he was fit, ripped, like he's training people, and he's written a book, he's at the education hub, he's doing all the courses. I'm like, what's going on here? So that was inspiring to see that. And, I didn't think, I want to be like him. It was like, I want to do similar things to what he's doing. Yep. So, then I started mentoring a couple of other guys that saw me training hard at the gym, and they're like, oh, how did you get this rig? Like, what do you, were you on the gear? Are you taking steroids? I'm like, no, but it's very hard to get steroids in prison, obviously, but this is all natural. This is the work. This is from doing the work consistently. And then, I started thriving off that. I was like, I can actually help men improve, not just with their fitness, but then also getting them to come to the education hub and do some of the courses and just learn some new skills. So that was rewarding. That was fulfilling. And I think that's where the idea of Prime, like the seed was planted. I didn't know it was going to be called Prime. I didn't know that I was going to come out and meet a guy that had similar sort of interests, and we connected well. And now, Prime has evolved into a men's personal growth community. But back then it was just a vision, I suppose. And I was reading the men's health books, and I was hearing about other leaders in the community out here that were taking men on transformational experiences in nature, hikes, things like that, you know, doing the work while they're physically challenging themselves in nature. And those things, those core pillars just landed for me. And I was like, that's what I want to do. That is what I want to do. Health and fitness, mindset, in nature, surrounded by other men that are keen to do the work, keen to be better men. And that's where we met.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy how the universe puts everything together. We didn't know each other.
No.
We rocked up at this men's personal growth hike.
Yeah,
Men Over Matter, that had been started by some amazing men, and we're also on that search to be better and to help other men be better. And, you know, I still follow their journey. I still try and get involved in their events and things like that, because I still gain so much from it. And obviously you did as well, and you do continually do that as well. So, you know, it's just evolved so much from that whole experience.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to talk about it, because I want to focus on everything that I gained from that traumatic experience, from that lowest of lows. What did we gain from that? What did Alice gain from that? You know, she was my rock through that. She still is my rock. You know, we've been able to create an amazing life, and we're just on the start of our freedom journey, because I literally just finished parole 3 months ago. So that whole chapter now is closed, but not forgotten.
Yeah.
So now it's all about freedom. It's all about creating the life that we want to live by knowing what we didn't want.
Yeah.
We didn't want to be held down and trapped in just one suburb. We didn't want to expose our kids just to one school and one street, one group of friends, or one little bubble. You know, we wanted to expand because we were bound. And this is ironic that we've connected with a community called Boundless Life, and it's essentially world schooling our kids. And they've got locations all around the world, and you can just go, and it's all support. They've got the accommodation, like your own villa or apartment, or you get to choose where you live. They've got the education hub for the kids, and they've got the co-working space for the parents to work online. So it ticks all the boxes, but it's variety. You can spend 3 months in Spain, then you can go to their other location in Italy or Portugal or Bali or Japan. And we're just thinking, hang on a minute, this is freedom. Like, this is variety. This is choice. Because we didn't have it back then. So we've gone from bound to boundless, right? And it feels good. Like, it feels so good. And I get lit up just talking about it, because for so long we were just bound. Whether it was COVID, whether it was being incarcerated, whether it was, or, you know, before that, the bankruptcy, you know, whether it was just being in the bubble in Mount Waverley, you know, and we were surrounded by some really good people, great neighbours, family were close, you know, great families at the school.
Yeah, but after being like in prison, like literally being a prisoner, I'm sure going back to, again, like that bound sort of state of living, I'm sure it sort of felt quite similar and you know, quite a shift and change.
Exactly. And through the 3 years of parole, where we had to be in that location, I had to sleep in that house every single night.
Yeah.
If I wanted to stay anywhere else, like we wanted to go a weekend away, I'd have to get permission. The parole officer would have to do the checks, blah, blah, blah. Where am I going to stay? Who's there? All that stuff. It was a massive, hurdle to just stay somewhere else overnight. So we didn't do much of it because it was so challenging. But, you know, no international travel, obviously, no interstate travel. All those restrictions were on up until December, just 3 months ago.
Incredible. I saw all the videos when I was happening. I was when I saw that whole transition was happening, because we weren't in contact in person, but I saw it all over social media, and I was just buzzing through that whole week while you're going through all of that. Made me so happy.
Yeah.
to see all of that. Now, it's safe to say that the pedigree of man that you are has not been built off of level of success, but of failures and mistakes. As a man who's made many mistakes and a man who's also come back from them in very courageous ways, I want to ask you about that mistakes and failures and your description of them, or how you would view the philosophy of a mistake and how one could go about overcoming a mistake or a failure in their life. You can relate it back to these circumstances as well, because I'm sure we can always pull wisdom from life.
So, obviously we all make mistakes, big or small. And I think the best thing you can do, from my experience, and everyone's got their own opinion on this, but the best thing I did, or I learned, was to communicate. Communicate with the closest people around you. And if you're not comfortable communicating with the closest people around you because you might be ashamed, like I was, I didn't want to tell my family about the mistakes. Connect with someone or a community like Men Over Matter or like Prime or like yourself. You know, we're putting ourselves out there on social media. We're putting ourselves out there to invite people in to communicate. Not only the challenges, but the wins as well. Like, let's talk about the wins. Let's focus on the wins, but also talk about the losses. Be open to dig deep and find the courage to talk about it.
Yeah,
because it can be scary, and you can hold a lot of shame around the mistakes, whatever they are. But the relief you get when you actually communicate it to someone or people, community, is huge. The relief is huge. The weight off your shoulders allows you to then get through that. It allows you to figure out what you're going to do now to move on, instead of sitting in that mistake. Don't sit in that shit place. Don't sit in that shame. Don't sit in that regret.
Yeah. And when you were incarcerated and, you know, you were especially on your own for so long, I have no doubt that there would have been a lot of shame stories coming up. You said you're crying yourself to sleep every night, and that's very human of you. I'm sure you're not the only man who's done that. How did you rewire this shame story into one of accountability and energy to then become the man you are, to then force yourself into health, fitness, and to become the best man you could there, instead of just eating into that shame story, which I'm sure inevitably would have had you looking more like some of the blokes who were in and out of the solitary confinement or getting messed up into politics just because they maybe think they deserved that. How did you get out of that shame story?
I personally had the support from my wife, who at times told it straight. At one point, I was victimizing myself. I'm like, who dobbed me in? I'm going to find out. Or, this is someone else's fault. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't hurt anyone. I was saying things like that at the start. Pretty much for that 12 months where I was on remand, I was in that victim mentality. And she pulled me in line. She's like, you fucked up. Own up to it. Like, wear it. It's no one else's fault. We all, like, you made the choice. So I had someone very important to me that just told it straight, and that helped me transition through that and start to own it, and also apologize to myself and to the people that I dragged through the shit. But I think if some people don't have anyone to pull them in, like tell it straight and help them through that, it's figure out what you don't want.
Talking about
Figure out what you don't want. If you don't want to sit in a prison cell for again and again, because I saw so many guys come back in. They go out and they come back in, they come back in. They obviously hadn't worked out what they didn't want. They were just thinking, oh, I want this, I want that, I want to, blah, 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 and have that lifestyle again. But they kept ending up back in. Obviously, they didn't want to sit in a prison cell. No one wants to sit in a prison cell in there. Like, it's toxic, it's scary, it's degrading. Figure out what you don't want. So if you don't want to have the lifestyle that you have now, if you're not happy with certain things, if you're not happy with your body, it allows you to do something about it. Figuring out what you don't want in whatever it is in life allows you the space to figure out what you do want. And when you know that, then you can start doing the little things. Like if it's your health, all right, I'm going to start eating clean food. I'm going to stop eating this processed shit. Or if it's your finances, my job, I hate my job. It's not paying me enough. Okay, I'm going to learn a new skill to then go and get this other job that will be more fulfilling and it's higher paying, or start my own business. Like, figure out what you don't want, and then you can move through to doing something you do want.
Yeah, I completely agree with that to a certain degree. It's like an amazing first point to, especially as a man, because men aren't so, I want this, I want that. Like, we're pretty downgrading towards ourselves, especially in Australia. I feel like we're pretty, I don't know, like, whenever I have a conversation with just any man on the street, it's only about complaining. Complaining about the weather, complaining about their footy team, complaining about their wife. All they do is complain. They don't talk about the things that they're happy about, the things that lit them up that day, the last person that made them smile. When these are much more preferable things that I like to talk about. So where I'm going with this is, if we build a life off of what we don't want, which is something that I used as well, but then later when we realize what we do want, to stop creating from what we don't want. So how I mean by this is, if it's money and the story we're telling ourselves is, I want money because I don't have money, then what we're telling ourselves is, I don't have money. And then all we're running off is this fictional narrative that we don't have money because we're trying to create from lack instead of creating from abundance and creating from what we want and what we deserve to have and what we know we can get. So completely agree with the entire statement, but it's come to a process when we figure out what we do want, then move from there, forget about what we don't want because it's our past reality. If it's still maybe our future reality, but we want to be creating from here now, from what we do want, not from that lack mindset.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, you've got to have that transition period when we switch, hey?
Yeah. Has that been something that's been prevalent within your life of creation within your family? I know I understand you've had a couple more kids since being out as well. And
100%. And what you just said then landed really, really well for me, because that has happened naturally with myself and Alice, like knowing what we didn't want, focusing on that for a while to figure it out, and then, like you said, start creating from what we do want. And that's how now we're sitting in this hotel room in Crown, not because we wanted to splash out financially. It was just like, okay, this is the start of this new freedom journey. Let's just do 2 nights. We got this room at a really cheap rate. Like, we did the whole marketplace, Facebook marketplace. We found it there. We're pretty savvy when it comes to finding good deals, but we wanted to start with abundance. And for most people, this is abundance. For some people, it doesn't matter. But we wanted to start the journey on this, and now it's on to Europe. It's following the community of the boundless life and going from location to location, and that adventure and that variety, I suppose, that we can expose ourselves to, like immerse ourselves in the culture in Spain, the language, the food, the people. There's so much out there. There's so much out there to experience. So like focus on certain things at certain times, which are going to help you move forward.
Leads us perfectly into something a word you mentioned before that I'm really curious about. And curious about learning where you lent into it within your own life experience was the word victim. Where do you feel like men, let's focus on just men here, as we both only lived a man experience, where has this victim lifestyle or mentality played within your life, or also plays within men's life? Just in the everyday, the way they talk, the way they live. Do you feel like this victim mentality is something that's more prevalent than the opposite? And what is the opposite?
Yeah. And that's a great point. It's a great question too. I think it's definitely been handed down to us from the older generations. And like, again, I'm not saying that our grandparents and our parents did the wrong thing.
They walk so we can run.
That's it.
Right? We run so they can sprint.
Yeah. Yep. That's powerful. It's just that I feel like us men were taught to just get on with it. Don't talk about it. Don't complain. Don't communicate it.
Toughen up.
Just toughen up. Toughen up. Don't be
concrete.
Don't be a bitch. Like, like the saying, and especially in the construction industry, it's even worse. It's even like that. Masculinity it's like it's a little bit toxic. Harden the fuck up. Don't show your emotions, because that's a sign of a weakness.
Just suppress it.
Yeah. Put it down.
Yeah.
Put it down.
Don't worry about it. It'll come back up. It'll come back up in a year, and you'll do something bad, but don't worry about it. Just suppress that.
That's it. Yeah.
Just keep suppressing.
I think that whole
not advice. This is not advice.
Definitely not advice.
Let it out.
Yeah. Find a circle that you can talk about things. But most men, I think, victimize themselves because we get caught up in that because of what we've been taught. To break through that, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of inner work. It takes surrounding yourself with the right people that are doing the work and that can support you through it. And there's a lot more of these men's movements out there now, which is great. And I encourage anyone else to start one. If you feel like you're a leader, you can be a leader in this space. Start your own movement.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a group of 5 men, that's 5 other men that you're helping in the community. Or if it's hundreds or thousands of men you can help. Like, if you've got the confidence and you don't start with confidence, you build it. But if you've got the desire and you feel like you're going to get some fulfillment out of helping other men, just start talking about it.
Yeah.
If you hear another man victimizing himself, just gently pull him up on it. Respectfully, what if you look at it from this perspective?
What would it look like for a man to be victimizing himself, even in like a subtle way?
All right, a big one, I suppose I'll talk to the fathers out there, the fathers of young children, because we are holding the house together financially and sometimes everything else, because your partner, your wife, is and has to focus on the child or the children, because they're the nurturing one. They're breastfeeding. They've given birth to your child. They need to be the one, and naturally they need to be the one that is the main point of contact for your child in the first few years. And then the father steps in to take more of the role or the workload or responsibility. I wouldn't say workload, but the responsibility of parenting that child or children. So, of course, in that first 3 years, we are doing everything. We are out there hustling. We're bringing in the dollar. We're putting the roof over the head. We're putting the food on the table. We are holding the space at home, the big emotions. Not only the emotions of your wife going through the hormonal changes and challenges, but also your new child. The meltdowns, the transitions that they're going through, it's full on. And we can sometimes sit in there and go, I'm doing everything. I'm working so hard and no one sees it. No one gives me any, what's the word?
Value?
No one validates all this hard work that I'm doing. Like, I'm the one holding this together. I'm the one getting put through the shit. So we start victimizing ourselves and we start hating this new amazing life that we've just created with a new child. And of course, you feel disconnected from your partner because, hey, there's a little baby involved now. The attention has to go to the baby. So we're like, oh, well, I'm not fucking good enough anymore. Whether you're not getting any action in the bed, you know, you're not getting any attention, you're not getting any of the love because, hey, all the focus is on the baby, but that's all right. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But we can get stuck in victimizing ourselves as, new fathers of young children. And I've experienced that myself, and I've seen other men in my circle experience that as well.
Yeah.
So it's so important just to know that that's going to happen and to accept it, but then also know that it's not going to last forever. There's going to be a point when your child or children get to the age where they're going to come to you, and your wife's going to have to then pick up those other parts of the lifestyle that you were holding before. So, yeah, just working through that is challenging, but it's also so rewarding.
Yeah.
Like if you can see it as something that's so rewarding that, hey, you only get to do this part once. But then if you have more children, obviously you get to do it again and again. But, hey, if you're only having one child or having two children, this part it only lasts for a small window.
Yeah.
And then when we're old and we're grandparents, we're like, oh, I miss that. Like I miss holding my child through that tantrum, you know, holding their head up so they don't bang their head on the floor when their body is literally all over the place because they're out of control. They're just a big ball of emotion.
Yeah.
Like being able to support your child is so fucking rewarding, and you are the man in that moment. You're the protector. You are providing that protection for your child and your wife when she breaks down and all the hormones are flooding her body and she doesn't know what the fuck's going on. You can be there to hold her through that. So, yeah, so rewarding.
Do you feel like the opposite of a victim mentality is a responsibility and accountability mentality?
I think there's an aspect of it for sure. We do need to remember that we have this huge responsibility to provide and protect for our loved ones, but then also to be open to sharing that with your partner. Depending if you are married or are partnered with a power woman who really enjoys protecting and providing as well. Or you may be with a partner that is happy and really loves being, held through that.
Yeah.
And every woman's different. So working out what kind of woman or partner you have allows you to be able to provide. But yeah, I think knowing that you have that responsibility gives you that path ahead. You know what you need to do.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling lost. Like sometimes you can feel lost because you're like, nothing's working, like it's all falling apart, it's so hard. Is this like, what did I sign up for? Sometimes you think, what the fuck, what did I sign up for? My child's losing it, there's tantrums there, my wife's losing it, she's in tears, the house is a mess. Like, it can be worse.
Yeah.
It can be very worse. There's always a worse. There's always a worse.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't take from parental experience in my life at the moment. There has been many times in my life I treaded through a lot of my life playing through this victim mindset, this victim mentality, and getting out of that. It did begin as accountability, responsibility, but then I found myself, taking accountability, saying, "Oh yeah, I fucked up," but then also still going into those shame spirals, which brought me back into victimization. So then I found the equation that worked with me was accountability, responsibility, action.
Mm.
Those three, whether in that order, but the action is inevitable to actually come through the situation. To analyze that victim mentality came that point for a reason, to then overcome it. And without applying the action, we just stay in the exact same spot. I always found action was the number one step to finding my way out of that victim response. Where another way of putting it is, when situations happen to us, we can either be the hero or the villain. So the hero, situation happens, something terrible, your situation, perhaps you became a hero through that situation. There's an inevitable thing happens to you, you went to prison, it fucking terrible. You had the choice to either become a hero or a villain. You chose to become a hero by setting yourself accountable, taking on the hard emotions, communicating, finding yourself within your health and your fitness, and doing everything you could in your ability to overcome the situation. And then there's the villain, where you could have just blamed everyone, like you were at the start. Who the fuck did this to me? I'll fucking get him. When I get out on the outside, they're fucked. And just blaming everything else. The world did this to me. Not the world did this for me, which is the hero. The world did this to me. How dare the world? And it just shrinks you until you're so small. And that brings people, that villain, keep on reoffending, in and out of prison. And it doesn't have to be that severe. It can just be within lifestyle, just going back and circling and repeats, and then victimizing themselves. Why do I keep on doing this? Why do I keep on going back in repeats? Because they don't learn. They don't take that hero story, that step. Does that resonate for you?
It does. Yeah, it definitely does. The action part of it. So powerful. Because if you don't take action, that loop, the vicious cycle keeps happening. To break out of that, you got to take action on something different. That's huge with myself and Alice. Take action. Find that courage and take action. Really work on that courage, yeah. Get through that fear of judgment, that fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear of failure, and also fear of success. What if we do make it?
Yeah.
And we live in this amazing life with all this variety. Holy shit, that's a bit scary too. Because how do we handle that?
Yeah.
Let's go and try it. See what happens.
That's the funny one, where people are more scared of winning than they are of losing. Do you agree?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I've found myself in that.
Yep.
I'm about to go on this big travel to India soon, and the biggest thing that scares me is how much I'll change and how much life will be different and how much life will be better whenever I go into a new job. I'm not scared of how bad it will go, because if it goes bad, then I'm back to square one. It doesn't actually matter. That's actually a bit more safer than if it goes really well. I might get this, unimaginable opportunities. That's terrifying, because that challenges the concept of who we are now.
Yeah. It's out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's out of your comfort zone, because with that, you're going to have to evolve. You're going to have to be a better version of yourself, stronger, better, bigger leader. Yeah. It just reminds me of Prime, how it started. It was just such a small group. And then through the process, you start fearing, holy shit, what happens when there's thousands of men that we're leading? How am I going to handle that? Is that going to be a real big workload? I still want to have time for my family, but is this movement going to be so demanding for me that I'm going to lose time with my family? That I constantly think of those. They're fears that I have. That's fear of success. Prime is successful. It is helping thousands of men. But my fear is, but hang on a minute. If I'm putting so much time into that, then what about my family? But I think if you can find that balance, both are fulfilling.
Mm.
You know, one's a passion project and one is life, obviously. So, yeah, of course there's going to be the fear.
Yeah. And I'm very equation based. I love bringing sort of math equations into life, whether it's experience minus emotion equals wisdom, or one I've been really looking into is the equation of change and radical change. And as you were saying, the fear of creating change or stepping into the discomfort. And I found that the emotion that comes up when we do think about anything good that could happen, anything bad that could happen, the emotion that comes up around our life now, a lot of the time, especially men, myself in the past, would feel emotional about that, whether it's angry, sad, happy, excited, anxious, and I'd suppress that emotion because I didn't want to feel it. I'd rather focus on the analytics of it. But it's actually that emotion that gets us up and gets us grinding. It's that emotion that actually creates the equation and creates the formula to dramatic change. I saw this one thing, David Goggins.
Yep.
I was obsessed with him in my early, when I was 18, and I was really getting deep into mindset. And I saw this one recently. He was giving another one of his talks. Someone came up and complained and complained, oh, I've done the fucking 3 months straight, waking up every single morning, and then I just fall off. I just can't do it. And then David says to him, look at that. I can see it in you, the way you're talking right now, the way you're holding yourself. You're ashamed. Like, you feel shame right now. And the guy's like, I do feel shame. And David says, and I love this, he says, not ashamed enough.
Yeah.
So the way in which, and it's not just David Goggins' philosophy, this is philosophy within Christianity, Buddhism, everything, that this emotion is energy.
Yeah.
That if we feel ashamed about not being able to roll out of bed when we tell ourselves we will not being a man of our word, we feel ashamed. Like, I don't want to feel shame. We suppress it. We're like, I shouldn't feel shame. Instead, you should feel ashamed, and you should feel more shame. You should fucking lean into that emotion.
Yeah.
And not lean into the stories, but lean into that energy. And that energy is going to get you up. That energy is going to create the change.
Yep.
Whether it is shit energy, whether it is currently wrapped up in stories that just aren't true, shame spirals, parental spirals, whatever it might be, lean into not the story, but the emotion. Lead with that emotion to create the change, whether it's physically, financially, in your education, whatever it might be. Lean into the fucking emotion because it's the only thing that'll get you there.
Yeah.
But now we've got numbing agents. And we've got numbing agents in our fucking pockets as well. The numbing agent that so many of us get sucked into, we feel emotion from a conversation, from just seeing someone. This is a funny one. And it sounds a little bit arrogant in saying this. It needs to be really seen. But I find that if I'm walking down the street, especially let's say down the beach, and I'm got my shirt off and I'm looking good, and I walk past a group of young lads, all lads my age or older than me, and they've got their own universe and maybe they've got their own insecurities. And this happens many of a time where I walk past them and I'm holding myself up straight. I'm holding myself with full confidence, full trust, full joy. And I make eye contact with them because I'm not afraid of it. They make eye contact with me for half a second, look away, pull out their vape, suck on their vape, and then continue. And what I see that is as, and this might be me being self-indulgent, but it happens too many times. The evidence is too clear that they see me, they get insecure, they get a hot flush, they need to suppress. Even if it's that tiny emotion, they're not conscious of it. They're not conscious of this thing. It's a habitual. They pull out the vape, suck on their vape, which is similar to sucking on like your mum's breast, which brings that nurture, that comfort. And then they get on and they pass through the emotion. Well, they pass through it, they suppress it and keep on going on about their day, ignoring that just happened.
Yeah.
A little tangent there, but
No,
it's very interesting to just see those
that's the
little
reality.
triggers coming up in people's lives. And I don't judge them for that. I have my own insecurities, as we all do. We're all human. But I find it funny and interesting how common it is for that to happen, and for people to just quickly numb and suppress and have such an easy suppressing agent in the form of a phone, a vape, a drink, a sex, whatever it might be, saying a funny joke or just doing anything to let that emotion numb instead of express.
And again, that comes back to how educated we are on understanding our emotions. That's a massive one, because if those men, lads, boys, whatever age they were, understood their emotions, because they were taught about emotions when they were young, in their childhood, they would be able to hold themselves differently. They'd be able to see you, this confident young guy, fit, healthy, make eye contact, have that mutual respect. Like, great work, mate. Like, you're working hard for what you've built, and they can see that you're confident because your body has brought you confidence, and be able to look at you and go, oh, good on you. That emotion comes up where they might feel insecure, but they'll be like, I know what that feeling is. Know what it is, and not have to reach for something to numb it.
Yeah.
And that just reminds me of how myself and Alice are raising our boys. Is we're constantly talking about our emotions. Like, every night we sit down for dinner and we do this rose and thorn thing. It's like, all right, from today, what was your rose and what was your thorn?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about something amazing that happened, and let's talk about the worst thing that happened.
Beautiful.
And when we talk about our rose and thorn, we then go peel the layer back and go, all right, what emotions came up when that happened? And we get to start talking about emotions.
Yeah, just witnessing them.
Yeah. It's like, oh, how did that make you feel? And then, of course, Xavier's only 6, but he now understands that there's more than 2 emotions, happy and sad. He knows that there's nervous, there's anxious, there's anger. Like, there's, when you look at the emotion wheel and it starts in the middle, there's heaps. And then it goes out and there's even more. And this A4 piece of paper has hundreds of words on it. And we put it on the table and we're like, all right, which one of these emotions did you feel when that happened?
Yeah.
And start them young. Start to understand your emotions. And even as adults, like, I'm still learning about my emotions. Like, you're constantly learning. I think that's huge. That's so important.
And that's very much like cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a therapy that therapists use and counselors use, but also it's very much originated from the Stoics of just witnessing emotion, not amplifying story to it, just witnessing it as just a sensation in the body, being able to come back to it and honestly speak. Oh, okay, I felt resentful in that moment. I felt anxious.
Yeah.
And not being able to, not going like, oh no, and that victim spiral, but just analyzing it, witnessing it as just an emotion. It's a very Stoic principle. That's really awesome that you and your partner celebrate that throughout your day-to-day rituals, and just creating conversation and having that open dialogue as a man to a woman as well, being able to talk about your feelings, or if you felt a thorn that day, or even if you felt a little bit triggered from something that day, and being able to talk about it without complaining about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's a difference between the thorns and complaining?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We obviously try and avoid going too deep into the thorn. We try and just, focus on the rose more so than the thorn. But yeah, there's times where the thorn might be a vent, like you're venting. Something happened during the day and it really pissed me off. And it's a mix between you complaining about it, or, hey, there's something that happened, but I learned from it.
Yeah. It's called a vent for a reason, because it's got to fucking ventilate.
Yeah.
It's got to release, it's got to
Let it out.
get out, otherwise
Yeah.
it bottles up and bursts,
Yeah.
even if it's just tiny shit.
Yeah.
Some bloke pissing himself at work or whatever it might be. Venting's healthy. But something I'm really trying to get out of in my life is complaining culture. Like I'm one for a good vent every now and then, but for every conversation to just be complaining, especially as men, if I go to the pub, there's no positive word spoken. It's either humor of downplaying other blokes or complaining. And I'm quite sick of that. How do you feel? Like, you run a men's movement, so I'm sure there's a lot of topics of discussion within that. How do you feel we can pivot from this complaining culture to something different, something a bit more tangible, something that can actually create something?
We focus a lot on gratitude. Gratitude is so powerful. Like, if you can have even one piece of gratitude, or focus on something you're grateful for each day, it will be like a compounding effect. It has a compounding effect where today might be just something so small that I'm grateful for. Then tomorrow I'm grateful for this other thing. But they just start compounding.
Yeah.
And this gratitude just gets stronger and stronger, and it phases out the complaining. I've got a few people in our circle that constantly complain, and I hate it.
Eyes rolled to the back of my head just then.
But I've learnt to try and shift it a bit, instead of pulling them up and saying, why are you always complaining? Stop complaining. You're so negative.
Oh, no. Because you're complaining about them complaining.
Right. And it just
starts
this fucking domino effect. But I've started to try and just shift it out a bit by changing the subject a bit, changing the direction of the conversation, and they don't even know it. I don't even know it. And you can see the shift.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, they've gone from complaining to then talking about something they're grateful for, because I went first. All right. Oh, yeah, that must be hard, but geez, I felt so good this morning. I got up, went to the gym, and I feel like my health's really like on point. How are you feeling? Like, you're obviously looking well, like you're looking after yourself.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you've
Leading
shifted
with that
from them complaining about something to them talking about how they've been focusing on their diet and their training and whatever it is, or the finances, or like, oh, the house looks great. Did you get a new job, or did you start a new business, or looks like
something
there's a bit of abundance here. And then they get into that. They're like, we had this investment that really took off, and then it's all positive. So it's just about trying to shift it a bit. I think if you can manage to shift it and get out of that complaining culture, it's gratitude. Just back to gratitude. Yeah, being grateful.
Like, to sort of pivot and to steer the conversation into one direction, instead of leaving it like, oh, like, how you going, mate? Like, what's life doing with you and stuff? Like, and it just, and that really leaves the open playing field where the culture isn't designed for them to be like, yeah, life's fucking killing it. The culture is for them to be like, mate, works hard, talking about everything that's hard, especially as men. I like to open the conversation with, hey man, what's working in life for you right now?
Oh yeah.
And instantly just asking, like, not how you going, what's life like doing for you, like what's working in your life right now. It could be their family, it could be their health, it could be business, could be like they saw something cute that day, whatever it might be. But instantly just getting them to actually think and analyze something that I think about much. What's really actually working? What's a pillar in my life that I'm actually hitting really well at the moment, because we're not always hitting every marker well. We usually focus on the ones that we're not. But if we can focus on the ones that we are, we can draw from that power. Can draw from that energy, from that happy emotion. I mean, we can use that emotion, as I said before, emotion to form creation, even if it's good emotion.
Yeah, that's a good one. And being a leader, you lead with that conversation opening. That conversation opener is that what's working for you right now. You've initiated that. You've initiated the positive direction of that conversation. So I think, we need to teach more men to open with that.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're going to say hi to each other every day. You know, the men in your life, you're going to say, hey, how you going? Instead of how you going, what's working for you? Like what's something good that's happened today?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
To close this off, I want to find your formula for 3 steps or 3 things a man or a woman can do to find their way out of a hard spot. Take your time to answer, pull back from your own experience, maybe.
I think the first one would have to be practice gratitude as a starter, because that, like I said, it compounds. So that's an easy one. And you can always find something that you're grateful for. Like it could be so small, or it could be massive. Communicate. So gratitude, communicate the challenge that you're going through. Because if you don't communicate to anyone, no one can help. And the third, I think, would have to be, well, from personal experience, is surround yourself with people that are inspiring to you, that are living their best life, that are good people, good, genuine people, and that are able to support you on your journey to being a better person. I think it's just your circle. Make sure you've got the right circle, because I have fucked up in that category in the past.
Yeah.
More than once, actually. Yeah, more than once. Probably a few times. And now, finally, after those mistakes, I've finally figured it out. And sometimes it takes a few goes.
Yeah.
And you'll gradually work out who the right people are.
Yeah.
And there are people that will come and go. And sometimes they're family. And unfortunately, they're on their own journey. If you have to distance yourself from those people for a while, then you've got to do it. You have to do it. Whether they're friends or family or a partner. Because if you stay in there, if you stay in that circle, you will stay that person. If you're not happy with that person, then you've got to take action.
Yeah. And if you have someone in your circle, you slowly become that person. You can use that for bad or as a hero or a villain. When I add to my circle, which I do very sparingly, sparingly? I do it very little. I like to look out for people who have or are living a virtue that I wish to have and are doing it really well or better than me, or have a skill that I want to have and they're much better than me at it, whether it's their kindness, their gentleness, whether it's a skill, whether it's like videography, and they're also a kind person. I add them to my circle because they're useful and I'm going to learn from them just from being around them, not even meeting up at cafe times and like really studying them, but just being in their presence. I slowly start to become them. And it's not a manipulation. It's not toxic. It's fact. It's something that we can either use for our good, our hero, or use for our villain, our not so good. We can either put ourselves around people with I used to do it with people who were like really cool and macho and really like, tough and held themselves and suppressed emotion. Yeah.
Big egos.
And I was like, I want to be like that. I want to put myself around him. And then I became that. Just through, and then once all of your circle is like that, you just become an amalgamation of all of them. It's opposite. Once you create a circle around people who are better than you at a certain thing, then you also start to level up to their degree. And then you just continue leveling up your circle.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I think. No. Ran out of charge.
Oh, yeah? How long did we go for?
Oh, wow.
Is that the longest one you've done?
It's gone over 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So we'll start to close it.
Is that still recording?
It's not, but we've still got some audio.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll close it here, Bronson. Thank you so much for joining, brother. Thank you so much for the chats. Thank you so much for all your wisdom as well. We'll leave it off with your link and your next activities. How can people find you, get in contact with you, work with you?
Yeah. Look, thank you so much for including me on your podcast journey and just your journey of self-development. It's been inspiring to watch you as well, and I've taken inspiration from what you're doing and from what the Men Over Matter guys are doing, and super grateful. I'm really grateful, and I've been looking forward to this, like I said, for a while now. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook. We're going to be starting a YouTube channel soon to document the journey of our bound to boundless lifestyle. But yeah, it's just Bronson.Interlandi on all the channels, and yeah, follow along and hopefully I can add some value.
Incredible, Bronson. I'll leave all of them in a link below. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, having a ripper chat. This has been the longest potty. I could have gone for another 2 hours, I reckon, but we won't get too carried away.
No, we're definitely in flow. So there's a lot of value there, I think, and hopefully we can inspire some other people, some other men and women.
Thanks, brother. You've made it to the end of the pod. If you could do me a huge favor and leave a 5-star review, this can really help the show grow. If you wish to post this podcast on your story, I'll DM you and personally thank you for helping this show grow and reach a new, wider audience. Thank you so much for tuning in. Keep wondering.